during the season.
They have they've had a top 5 recruiting class every single year.
Yeah, I know. Writing Clemson off is crazy. I think we are live. Never used Restream before, so yeah, it looks like we're good. What's up? Happy Saturday. Glad the weekend is here. I don't know about these gentlemen next to me, but I'm off to a terrible start in college football this year. I'm actually 0-3. Went 0-2 last night, and I lost the Memphis game on Thursday. Thank God I had the Eagles in the over in the NFL, so it hasn't been a complete disaster, but I need a bounce back. Let's get right into it with Louisville, Indiana first. Let's run a quick poll. Actually, I've never run a poll on here either. On this
2-0 for me last night.
Did you? You had Air Force?
Air Force was my top play of the weekend, and then Virginia.
Yeah, I feel like a sucker for taking Utah State, and I knew it too. Like, and everyone
the
in my
first drive, they pretty much made it.
Yeah, they were up 22-0 just a few minutes into the game. It was terrible. So Louisville at Indiana. Mitch, you want to go first?
Sure. This one, Chris has been talking about this one on our shows, and he's been saying that this was supposed to be a 3-game series, and they've changed it to only 1 game. Now, I'm not sure who did that, but these are 2 of my least favorite coaches. You got Jeff Brom, who's used to losing against Big Ten teams. Of course, he played in the old Oaken Bucket game the last several years against Indiana and Tom Allen, so he certainly knows their tendencies. But he doesn't seem to have his guys at the Ville just yet, But Indiana, oh God, Tom Allen just aggravates me, man. And it's like I don't even understand how they keep bringing him back year after year. To me, this is a very, very tough one. I'm going to roll with the under in this thing.
Ooh, me too. What is it, 50.5? That's what it was
50
earlier.
50.5, yeah.
I'm on the same exact thing, under 50.5. A big thing for me, when you look at totals, a lot of people, they look at, obviously, the offense versus defense on both sides. But another huge part of totals is pace of play, third down percentage, red zone percentage, all the intangibles. We just saw Indiana's defense play great at home against Ohio State. Indiana has run just 55 plays a game this year. 55! Louisville's at just 65. These teams have been playing slow-paced. I thought this total should be down around 45.5, 44.5, so 50.5, I'm down to play the under. Chris, you with us?
Yeah, I'm with you here. No, I'm looking at I'm looking at Indiana here. I get it why Louisville's favored here. After getting the job done against Georgia Tech, but the Cardinals still gave up almost 10 yards per pass, 488 yards total offense against Georgia Tech. This Cardinals defense, they lost 3 of their top 4 tacklers from last year. I get it. We don't love Tom Allen on our morning show as much as the next guy, but I like Taven Jackson. I think he can do enough here to keep this one respectable. I'm just not there with Louisville. I don't love Jack Plummer at quarterback. 4 touchdowns to 3 picks already. I think there's just enough here that Indiana keeps this one a 1-score game. I'm taking Indiana in the points.
Yeah, if I was to lean aside, it would be Indiana, so I don't disagree with you there. Yeah, someone noticed the nickname. I put C Boogie. 43% of our viewers laying the points with Louisville, 32% taking them, 17% under. So a lot of people are feeling the under with me and Mitch there. Let's move on to game number 2, which is Penn State at Illinois. And I'm not going to talk a lot about this one because you guys already know how I feel. I put this one on YouTube. You could get this one at 14 even still. So hell yeah, Penn State. I'm laying the 14. Add in the fact we were just talking about this before we get live. Last time these two teams played in 2021 and went to double overtime. So there's a little bit of a revenge factor there. Penn State looks strong. And they look strong in what I would call the safest ways, right? Like the defense looks insane. The offensive line, the run game. Ways that I can hang my hat on. Sometimes you bet a hot quarterback in an elite passing game that could backfire on you, but when we bet an elite rushing attack and a good defense, it tends to be a little bit safer. I think they beat the hell out of Illinois. I like the kid, what is his name? Altmaier? Yeah, I think I might have said that wrong. But I like the quarterback Illinois got. I thought they looked pretty good, but the rest of the team sucks. They are not recovering from losing Ryan Walters as the DC. Defense looks like a shell of itself. So, yeah, Penn State in a blowout.
I really like Nick Singleton. I think this guy is just a home run hitter. I love home run hitters, and Singleton certainly is one of them for Penn State. I just don't know if Illinois losing Chase Brown, losing, the guys that they had from last year's team. Brett Bielema, he was good at Wisconsin, terrible. Well, he got fired on the field at Arkansas, and then he, is kind of his chance for redemption. I think he's already gotten it, and maybe the Big Ten is his place. I just think, like Kyle said, it's kind of a bad spot because Penn State, James Franklin, this is kind of a team that he's built, and it's like you give a guy a chance to build at a place like Happy Valley. I mean, Paterno didn't have, national championship contenders every single year. He always built at Happy Valley. And I think that fan base, that's what they expect, is kind of that short-term build process and then a run at it. And I think Penn State might surprise some teams in the Big Ten this year. I just think I like home run hitters. So, they have Singleton. I expect him to score in a long one.
Yeah, Singleton's the man. You going to lay the 14?
Yeah, I'll lay the big one.
Chris, are we sweeping on Penn State?
We are. For me, this play is a little bit more against Illinois than it is back in Penn State here, because for me, this is still Penn State's first true road game. It is in conference play. You got a young quarterback and Drew Aller going out on the road, but this is still an Illinois defense that was one of the best in the country last year, but was also ravaged by the NFL draft. He had Devin Witherspoon going, I think was top 5 in the NFL draft as well. And you could argue that Illinois should have lost that game against Toledo. I mean,
hell yeah,
their chances. They shot themselves. Toledo shot themselves in the foot late, gave Illinois the ball back, and Illinois went down and ended up getting the game-winning score. I'm not as high on Luke Altmaier, personally, but again, we're only through 2 games so far. But if that Toledo game is any indication, I think Illinois could be in some trouble here. I think Penn State going to go into this one, win by 17 plus. So give me Penn State here.
Agreed. I will say I'm a little worried that I haven't seen one person on Illinois. Everything's coming in on Penn State, but this line is just chilling. It was at 14.5 all week, and now you could get it at 14. Definitely worries me a bit. It's not going to scare me off, but yeah, I don't love to see that. Let's see where our poll's at. And as expected, 84% of our viewers are laying it with Penn State. So this is, just know, if you're betting Penn State with us, this is crazy public. Some people just don't like to bet those kind of bets. This one's crazy public. I'm doing it, though. Let's move on to LSU at Mississippi State, another public one that I'm on that I have my doubts on. I went back and forth between LSU and the over. I ended up laying it with LSU. Actually, what I did, hold on one sec, I'll type it on the screen. I did a really square, terribly valued moneyline parlay. So I did lay the points with LSU, laid the 9.5. And the 3 teams I put in this is horribly valued, but I did LSU, Penn State, and TCU. Came out to be minus 101 or something. I parlayed them together. Chris, are you making a bet on this one?
I'm not personally. If anything, I was leaning towards Mississippi State, but it was probably just a pass for me on this one. Mainly because I want to take a shot with Mississippi State in the hopes that maybe they would still bring back some of that Mike Leach offense, but they only threw, I think it was 17 pass attempts last week against Arizona. Not what we're used to seeing from Mississippi State. They ran the ball a lot more. I'm also always concerned that maybe LSU comes out and wins this one by double digits. So nothing for me in this one.
Mitch?
Oh, man, I love this type of game, SEC football. These teams usually play either the first game of the season or the second game of the season. They always play early. And it's, it just seems they play in Stark Vegas almost every single time. It's one of those weird things, but, cowbells will be ringing. This is just that game. And I just think this is one of those games where I think this is going to be a hard buckle up the chin strap. Like Chris said, Leach is gone. And the thing is that they didn't try and keep the air raid offense. They went on purpose, to a new offense. So it wasn't like, oh, they have the air raid and they only threw 17 times. They've gone to a possession offense. So it's like, they have an offensive coordinator that does that sort of thing. But I just think this is going to be one of those hard-fought SEC games, and I think we're going to be glad to have those points in our back pocket. I think this is a touchdown game at best, and we've seen Brian Kelly fall flat on his face in big games. And the thing is that in the SEC, every game is a big game. He's not playing Navy with Notre Dame this week, right? Then at Cincinnati when he played in the AAC with Cincinnati and he had that team rolling. It's like those are the games that he does well when he plays against the good, big physical teams. He usually gets pushed around. And I tell you what, I can't get the sight of Florida State just dancing on LSU in that second half out of my head.
All right, so I could see that. And if you want to make the point that Mississippi State's going to score points on LSU's defense, I will listen and I hear what you're saying. But you cannot sell me that Mississippi State's going to make stops in this game. I mean, we just saw them really struggle against Arizona in a game where Jaden DeLauro threw 4 interceptions and fumbled in the red zone, and they still needed overtime to beat them at home. That's Arizona. Arizona has a good offense. They're not... I mean, that's probably a top 25.
That's a reach.
I think I like that offense in Arizona. I bet you they're like top 25, top 30, somewhere in there. Their defense just sucks, but
in the Pac-12.
But the point being, Mississippi State at home was struggling to make stops against Arizona. What I'm seeing from LSU is, like Mitch said, we saw them get embarrassed in the second half of that Florida State game. I could see them taking out some frustration and just beating the shit out of a few teams for the next month. But yeah, I don't like Mississippi State. I like the weapons they have on offense. They have Will Rogers, and then I like the running back and receiver. They have nicknames too. It's like Woody and Tulu or something. Like they have good athletes, so I could see them scoring points. I just can't see them making stops.
LSU always has good wide receivers. I mean, they had Jefferson and Jamar Chase.
I know.
I mean, it's like, they've had some good ones come down the pipe.
Well,
that's not the only guys they've ever
Justin
had.
Jefferson was wide receiver 2 on that team. Like, get the fuck out of here. 45% of our viewers are laying the points, but 34% are taking the 9.5. So there's a lot of people that like the Bulldogs at home. 12% over, 8% under. Game number 4, Kansas State at Mizzou. Hold on, let me get a poll running. This line, I mean, I think it's at 3.5, so that's what I'll put it up. But it was moving. It was up as high as 5.5 earlier in the week. I got it at 4 this morning, but most books had it at 3.5. So that's what I'm going to post the poll as. All right, poll is running. Mitch, you betting this one?
Always. These guys are these are kind of our guys, both these teams. So it makes it a little tougher, Drinkowitz is our coach, he's like one of our guys. And, Kansas State, I love that offense, because most people hate it, the hidden ball trick on every single play. No one really knows who's got it or where it's going, and it kind of confuses teams. But Missouri has done a really nice job recruiting. I know they lost their top receiver through the portal, but he actually wasn't the top athlete receiver that they had. They got the number 1 overall receiver last year in recruiting, and he's still there. And I'm sure that he's going to take on a bigger role. I think, it seems that a lot of support here on Mizzou at home, the SEC team against the Big 12, but the SEC teams in these out-of-conference games so far this season have fallen flat on their face. They've gotten whooped up by the ACC, Texas getting beat by Alabama last week, another Big 12 team. I'm just not sure where it's going to come from, but 3.5 is a pretty big number. It's a tough one for me because I could kind of go either way. I think this one, this might be a rare. I'm going to take a Ruffalo on this.
Take a Ruffalo.
Well, Chris, the term Ruffalo comes from, we had a Christmas Eve show. The only game was the Hawaii Bowl. Chris took a pass. It's like, it's kind of like this is the show, right? It's like we only got one game.
He came on to pass.
The exact words were, "Then why are you here?"
Then why are you here?
Chris, are you betting this one?
I am. I'm leaning towards Kansas State here. That's probably where I would be. I
think it's my lean as well. But
the thing for me with these two is that you look at just who we don't have much to go on. We only have 2 games. Neither of them really played anybody. You had Kansas State play Southeast Missouri and Troy. Missouri played South Dakota and Middle Tennessee. I was just a lot more impressed with what I saw from Kansas State against their lesser opposition. Missouri, maybe they got caught looking ahead, only beat Middle Tennessee by 4 last week. But for me, the one area where you can really, exploit Kansas State, if anywhere, is running the football passing the football on that Kansas State secondary. And that's just not what Missouri does overly well. I think that, if Missouri tries to run the football here, I think Kansas State's going to stuff it. I just see Kansas State going on the road, winning this one by a touchdown. For me, this is more of a play on the number, only at 3.5. So I lean towards Kansas State here.
Wrong. Missouri's the play here. I'm taking the points with Mizzou at home. I got it at 4, but I'll put it on the screen at 3.5 because I think that's where it is on most sports books right now. this value-wise, this is the perfect spot to take Missouri. I mean, Kansas State wins the Big 12 championship game last year. Look, flawless in their first 2 games against scrubs. Will Howard on top of the world. Everyone's talking about this guy. Probably going to be the best player on the field. But Missouri brings back a ton of production from last year, and they had a good defense last year. We're talking about a team that held Auburn to 7. Well, Auburn was probably a bad example. Georgia to 26 points. Florida to 24 points. South Carolina to 23 points on their home field. This is a good defense at home, bringing back a ton of production. What Chris said about Missouri's offense, yeah, they're maybe not the best equipped unit to exploit Kansas State's defense, but I'm catching over 3 points at home. I think this is a super sell high, buy low spot for Missouri at home against Kansas State. So I'm going to take the points. I got it at 4, though, like I said. Poll agrees with Ruffalo. Is it Ruffalo? I always called you Ruffalo.
Yeah,
is it Ruffalo?
Yeah, Ruffalo.
Oh, well, I got you down to C Boogie on the screen.
Look,
Luther Burden is the receiver at Missouri, and this guy could start for any team in the nation. He could start for anybody. He is that good. He was 5-star. He is.
There you go. Anytime touchdown scorer.
Real deal. He is the real deal.
I'll say this. You know, I'm okay with Ruffalo, whatever. I've also got an idiot and dumbass from somebody. But
he raised his hand.
We've got an ongoing tradition at Pickdawgz, and that is we have an open invitation for the prop beaver.
I told him, I was like, you need to get on there. Our polls on Kansas State, by the way, 62% of our viewers taking the Wildcats, just 29% taking the points with Mizzou.
We say this. We say Kyle and the prop beaver have a falling out at any time. The door's wide open.
No, prop beaver's problem is he won't come on a show unless he feels fully prepared. And it'll be like, no, I don't have enough notes. I'm not ready. I'm like, dude, you have 13 pages of notes. You are ready. He won't come unless he feels ready.
I gotta say, man,
Mitch will say, I will do the notes for you if I can get rid of Ruffalo.
He is slam dunk.
All right. Iowa State at Ohio. The poll is running. Let me get to my notes in this one. I feel, from what I'm seeing from the data, it looks like people are taking Iowa State, but it feels like such a public dog to take Ohio. I'm doing it. And I'm confident it's the right side. What we've seen from Curtis Rourke so far this year scares me. I don't know if I should put last year in the past, because if you remember, Ohio started off slow last year too. They ended up winning, what is it? Yeah, they rattled off 7 straight wins to go on and go to the MAC championship, and then they lost because Curtis Rourke didn't play. Probably would have won the game if he does play. Off to a slow start this year. The reason I'm playing the over, because if you look at what they've done so far this year, and if you look at these teams on paper, not really an over game based on what we've seen, but these two teams are 9th and 27th in the FBS in plays per game. They've been playing a faster pace. I think we finally see Ohio's offense get it going, finally looking like the unit that we saw make a run last year. And also, everyone talks about the Ohio offense because Curtis Rourke was having such a good year last year, but actually the Ohio defense was the unit that really made the turnaround. So I think Ohio catching 3 at home is the play. Iowa State, I still have a huge question mark next to that program based on the shit with Deckers and the gambling and the people going to jail, all that shit. I feel more comfortable taking the 3 at home with Ohio. I'm still waiting for them to look like last year's team, and hopefully we see it today. Mitch or Chris, anyone?
Chris, you want to go? You want me to?
Yeah, I'll go. Yeah, I'm loving Ohio money line here.
Ooh.
I think that, you could argue that if Rourke doesn't get injured in week 0, the Bobs could be 3-0 coming into this one. For me, it's a big fade of Iowa State. This is an Iowa State team that tends to try to win games with defense at the best of times. And they've just got a ton of guys out, like you mentioned, with the gambling investigation. And even if Hunter Deckers played in this game, I still think Rourke is the better quarterback. And like you said, it's the Ohio defense that's really turned it around. 13.3 points per game. I get it. They played the likes of San Diego State and FAU, but this is an Iowa State team that struggled against Iowa last week. I know Iowa's defense and Ohio's defense not necessarily on the same level, but Iowa State's up against another solid defense here. I think the offense has some serious issues. I personally think the wrong team's favored here. I'm going to go with Ohio money line here.
I agree with you.
I like Ohio too, but I'm going to take the points in this one. And normally I'm the money line guy. I just think that, this is one of those games. Ohio, the reason why they struggle in the early season and play well afterwards is because one is they're out of conference schedule where they always play reasonable teams. And then they play their MAC schedule. So they always, of course, tear up the MAC after playing, a tougher out of conference. I think that, Ohio's a good team. I think obviously the off the field stuff with Iowa State it hurts, but we also know that really good players come through that Iowa State program as well. I mean, look at Purdy and Breece Hall, just in the NFL right now. And you could see that, maybe some of these guys are underrated at times, but I think Ohio's going to give them a game. And I think this could be a overtime type game, or even the 3 might help us get a push.
I agree. Yeah, look, we're all on the same side there. The comments do not agree with us. Our poll is Iowa State wins that one. 51% of our viewers lay in the 3, 32% taking it. Let's move on to game number 6, which is, you know what? Let's run a poll. I put this in there, but I personally can't bet this because I'm in New Jersey. So this is obviously a pass for me. But got to represent Rutgers. Looking good in Jersey. I don't know if anyone's familiar with the laws, but in New Jersey, you're not allowed to bet on New Jersey colleges in any game. So
same with every state.
Oh, that's nationwide?
Yeah, nationwide.
Really? I didn't even know that. How did I not know that?
Pennsylvania can't bet in Pennsylvania. Same thing.
So stupid. Are you guys betting this one?
All I'm saying is I'm still annoyed that I can't pump my own gas and I have to make 3 left turns to make a right in New Jersey, or is it the other way around? 3 right turns to make a left. I don't know.
It's 3 to make
3.
3 to make a left.
I like Rutgers in this one over Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's got some key injuries in this one coming in. Greg Schiano is one of my guys, former Miami defensive coordinator under Butch Davis. So, I mean, I always liked him, even when he went to Ohio State, which is a tough one for us to swallow. But I do think at Rutgers, he just seems to love this program, and they love him. He had success here the last time. You can see he's already moving this thing in the right direction. This time is part of the Big Ten, which is a much tougher task. This guy is just a defensive genius. I mean, he just is. And he gets players to buy into a system, and his system works. All it takes for him to have a good running back. I mean, remember Ray Rice. I mean, not the Ray Rice in the elevator video, but the regular Ray Rice that we saw on the football field. So Schiano will get his talent in there. Virginia Tech, I think, is just not quite the same team that we've seen recently.
Chris, you got to play on this one or now?
Yeah, I was initially looking at the under, but I'm on Rutgers -7 as well. This total, I think, has just gone too low for me, around 36.5, 37. Especially because we've seen Rutgers offense actually really show up here. I mean, they put up, 36 last week against Temple. Gavin Wimsatt's playing well. Virginia Tech, my concern is no Grant Wells. And even then, the offense wasn't very good with Wells at the best of times last season. They had some success this year. But I think Rutgers, that defense just takes over once again. I think even if they, put up 24, could be enough for them to win this game by double digits. I'm going to go with Rutgers laying the points as well.
All right, some Rutgers picks, and our community agrees as well. 55% of our viewers laying the 7 with Rutgers, 29% taking the 7. Split on the over-under in that one. Next, South Carolina, Georgia. Here we go. I almost don't even want to put mine on the. For some reason, it says I never had this happen before. It says ads are running. Does that mean they have to wait, or does that mean when they're rewatching?
I'm not sure.
I've never had that happen before. Maybe that's a restream thing.
I've never seen it before either.
All right, well, it's 10 more seconds, so we'll let it rock. But the next game is South Carolina, Georgia, and everyone knows mine because this is one of the ones I put on YouTube, so I'll go ahead and put it on the screen. I know. South Carolina plus 27. I might be 27.5. I'll just put 27 on the screen. It's very. Oh, wait, here we go. Let's get the poll up. It's done now. Really simple. It's just 27. Georgia minus 27 over under. Actually, Mitch, what are you betting in this game?
I'm taking South Carolina plus the points. It's just a border war rivalry game in the SEC, and traditionally these games are very, very close. A couple of years ago, South Carolina went between the hedges and beat the Dogs outright. They don't care about Georgia's national championships or anything like that. In fact, I don't even think they care about Georgia's record. this is a game where you throw the record books out the window. And as I always say, you can't beat our cocks.
Same thing. And I'm a big Spencer Rattler fan. What we saw at the end of last season was electric. And what happened in the North Carolina game to start the season, that's not on him. He had a pretty good game. He wasn't perfect. Took a few sacks he didn't need to take. But as a whole, he was like 30 of 39 with over 300 yards, no picks. I mean, he had a pretty decent game. I like him, and I think, just like Mitch said, in this rivalry game, he's going to find a way to make some plays. So I'll take the 27 points, but it's not one of my favorite bets of the day, that's for sure.
Chris, you going to grab the cocks here?
No, I'm gonna keep the cocks hidden here. I'm gonna take a pass on this one. I do have family in Athens, just outside of Athens. So if they catch me taking South Carolina the points, probably can't go back home for Thanksgiving dinner. This number just terrifies me because I could see it going both ways. You know, the home team hasn't covered in any of the last 7 meetings, but Georgia's also won the last 3 meetings handily. So. Yeah, probably just a pass for me in this one, especially with such a big number.
When Mitch said that in 2019, South Carolina came into Athens and beat them, that was actually the last time Georgia lost a home game. They've won 20 straight since then, and the trip after that in 2021, South Carolina lost by 27 exactly, and covered. So yeah, I'm taking the points, and wow, surprisingly enough. Our viewers are taking the points too. 57% of those watching are taking the 27, 29% laying them. Let's move on to game number 8, which is San Diego State, Oregon State. Another one where I'm taking the points. 24.5. Oregon State minus 24.5 over under. Poll is up and running. Chris, want to start on this one? Do you have a pick on this one or no?
This was another I didn't want to take a pass on. If I was leaning towards one, I would probably lean towards San Diego State in the points as well. The only thing that scares me about this game is that, Reser Stadium is no joke anymore. I mean, Corvallis is a tough place to go on the road and win. I just have a hard time laying 24.5 points with an offense led by DJU. That's just me personally. San Diego State's offense hasn't been great with Jalen Maiden. But again, I think 24.5 is just a big number, especially with that hook over a key number now. So I'll take San Diego State if forced to pick, but I'd probably take a pass on this one.
I'm taking San Diego State plus 24.5. I actually am big on this Oregon State team too, but this number is just super inflated. They look great in the first 2 games of the season, but look, both these teams run a slow-paced offense. They're 83rd and 98th in the country, so I'm expecting a slow-paced game, which is never good if you're laying a shitload of points. And after what happened last week, I'm expecting San Diego State to get back to running the ball. They dropped Jalen Maiden back 37 times to pass against UCLA, now a lot of which were probably because they were down on the scoreboard. But last season, San Diego State ran the ball on 55.5% of their snaps, which was 34th in the FBS. So this year they're back at 78th. So I fully expect them to come out and run the ball. And I know Oregon State's run defense was elite last year. It really was. But the Oregon State Beavers are just 92nd in returning production on the defensive side of the ball. And they haven't played anybody. So people are already like, oh, Oregon State's run defense is back. It was good last year. Doesn't matter that they lost 7-8 starters. It's good again this year. They haven't played anybody. I think San Diego State's going to be able to move the chains here and there, running the ball, and just keep it close enough to cover. I'm not going to take them to win or anything. Mitch?
Well, we spent a couple minutes talking about Cox. Now we're going to just give equal time to Beavers. I think that in this one, you got to go with Oregon State. I understand DJU is terrible at Clemson. I'm with you, Chris, on that one. But the thing is, we saw a similar situation where a guy came from like a playoff team, didn't get the job done and ended up getting replaced, especially late in the season, too. Exactly the same situation. That player was Jalen Hurts, who transferred to Oklahoma and had a very, very successful run there. And I think DJU, there's a reason he was one of the top quarterbacks coming out, coming in. And I think we're starting to see this in Corvallis. A little less pressure, a little under the radar, and an offense that might fit him a little bit better. I got to say, San Diego State really not impressing me much this season so far. Normally, I'm all over the Aztecs, and normally I love the way they run the football. I just think the Beavers at home and Corvallis just tough building with 13 covers in a row. That's over 2 years. It's basically they haven't not
tough to
covered
fade
at home in over 2 years.
Tough to fade, but I'm doing it, and so are the comments. 47% of our viewers are taking the 24.5, 30% laying them, 16% over. Surprised by that. So a lot of people betting the over in this game.
That's Cox Beavers parlay for me there.
Yeah. Mitch almost got me in trouble with my relationship about 3 years ago with Beavers and Cougars. It was my fiance's birthday weekend. We were in a hotel, and I did the live show from the hotel the morning of. She's sitting in bed having breakfast, and we're talking about Washington State and Oregon State. And I tried to make a stupid joke. I said, Beavers and Cougars sounds like a good Thursday night, and I got the death stare. And she picked up the knife off the breakfast tray, and I was like, "I love you."
Like, is this it? This is it? This is how I'm going to go out?
Mitch looked at the screen and goes, "Ha, busted." I'm just like, shit.
All right. So, next game is an interesting one. I'll go first. I split my money in half on this one. I'm taking Minnesota +7. I actually got it at 7.5 earlier this morning, but it's at 7 on most, and I'm also taking the under at 51. Look, everyone wants to talk about Drake May, but the truth is, he hasn't been the same. In the last 5 games, he's averaging just 236.8 passing yards a game, 6 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, QBR barely over 75. I'm not fully blaming this on him. This North Carolina offense is moving in a different direction with Chip Lindsey at OC. They're running the ball at a 56% frequency, 30th in the FBS. That's not the North Carolina team we saw last year. They're 10th in rushing yards per game this season, 18th in yards per carry. North Carolina is coming out with a run-first offense, and it makes sense because, Chip Lindsey ran the shit out of the ball at UCF last year. That's all well and good. I'm not saying that as a negative to North Carolina, but this is a PJ Fleck Minnesota team, and if they want to turn this into a battle of the run games, then I'm giving the edge to the Gophers, and I'm getting 7. I expect the clock to be running a lot in this one. Now, there's no comparison between Drake May and Callie McManus at the quarterback position. So when it comes down to the end of this game, I expect North Carolina to get it done just from having the much better quarterback, but I'm not laying 7. I'll take a full touchdown on this one in what I think will be a low-scoring, close game.
I like the over in this one. I think we're going to see points. Minnesota always goes to the over when they play against the ranked teams. That is like they have like some kind of long streak of overs to the ranked teams. I got a kind of soft spot towards Minnesota after last week. I had Eastern Michigan in that game. 5 minutes and 48 seconds from the 44-yard line down to the 1-inch line to kick the field goal to just get me by the hook. 29.5. They lost by 29. Eastern Michigan is beautiful. And I personally thank PJ Fleck for the effort. But I think in this one, I think we are going to see some points. I think Minnesota's offense is a little more potent than what we've seen. And I think we saw that last week against Eastern Mich, where they can move the football. We know North Carolina, well, if they feel like opening it up, they do. And their defense, well, usually when you have an offense like that, your defense is a sieve. And this could be one of those things. Because, when you look at these numbers in college football and you see these like guys that have thrown for 1,000,000 yards, and then you kind of see how they got there. It's usually in games like this.
Chris, you breaking the tie here?
I'm gonna break the tie on the total. Yeah, I'm not gonna get flecked, but I'm gonna take the under 51 here.
There we go. There we go.
I think this is just a game where the new clock rules are gonna come into effect. I think there's gonna be a lot of run of the football, especially from Minnesota. I mean, Sauce is like what you said. It's what this Minnesota team does at times. Well, there's a couple things we know about Minnesota. The defense is going to be good. The offense at times can be hard to watch, but they like to run the football. And I think that they're going to have a bit of a tough time against the North Carolina defense that I think is improved, especially against the run. They were terrible last year defensively, but I think that the defense is making strides here. And to me, if this is going to finish around the number, I could see a 28-21 kind of game, somewhere where you do see some points, but nothing. It's going to make us sweat a little bit on the total, but I think in the end it still comes in under the number.
I think North Carolina, Chip Lindsey's going to come out and say, we don't need to do too much. Let's just run the ball because we have the better team and we'll win at home. And Minnesota and PJ Fleck's going to come out and saying, our only chance to stay in this game is to establish the run. So I just think the clock is going to drain. So I agree with you. Our viewers are leaning North Carolina slightly, though. Slightly. 45% of our viewers laying the 7, 36% taking the 7, 9% under, 8% over. Next. Northwestern at Duke. I'll run a quick poll, but this one is a pass for me. But I put it on there in case you guys wanted to throw anything in there. Duke looks really good. So what I wrote down in my post was Duke or pass. So that's what I'll put on the screen. But
well, that means Northwestern for me. I like the points in this one. Northwestern really not as bad as, been getting billed as, to be honest with you. And Duke, I think a little bit overflated and a little bit public after that win over Clemson on that Monday night. When you're the only game in town, you come in and you beat Clemson and the score looks more one-sided than the game is. Well, I think the public starts to get on them. And I think we're seeing a little bit of inverse line movement on this game as well. I think this one's up to like 19 and change. And I think it's down to 17 on this.
That's correct.
As well. So I think that just tells you kind of all you need to know. That I think, well, first of all, I mean, the clarifier on this one is always, these are two schools that wouldn't let me anywhere near the admissions department. I mean, these are two really good schools. But the thing about it is, I just think that the game's probably going to be closer. I don't think Duke can count on Northwestern to fumble 3 times inside the 10-yard line like Clemson did either. I think you forget. I think people they look at that game and they forget exactly what happened. Is that Clemson did drive the ball on them. They just turned the ball over deep in Duke territory, and then the Duke touchdown by the quarterback where he was basically sacked, got away from the sack, and then there was nobody there on the outside. He just ran in for a touchdown.
That pissed me off.
9 out of 10 times. He's down and it's a sack for a loss, and it just happened in that case that it ended up being a touchdown. It was, Dabo called it, a very flukish, weird game. He called it a weird game. He didn't call it a flukish game. I thought it was a weird game. I'm going to take the points. I just think betting against Duke, I think there's going to be some value.
I could see that. I can see that. What about C Boogie?
C Boogie. I'm going to start calling him that on our show.
I was just about to say, you're going to start. That's going to stick into our morning show too. I'm going to take a pass here.
Straight Ruffalo.
Yeah, straight Ruffalo. I was originally looking at Duke because I do think there is some sort of stigma still around Duke that this is still the same Duke team that in the last few years the David Cutcliffe era won 10 games in 3 years. But at the same time, Northwestern looked pretty good against UTEP last week, and maybe that was sort of the rally the troops moment. Like, hey, we had a crap first game. There's been a lot of stuff that's gone on in the offseason, but maybe we could still make chicken salad out of chicken shit. Who knows? But again, I'm probably not going near this thing, especially with this number around 16.5, because this just feels like the dirty tricks committee could come out and it could be like a 34-17 kind of game or 33-17 where it sort of hangs.
Or Northwestern wins outright.
Yeah, that's definitely possible.
Let's not get crazy. That kid Riley Leonard can play.
Line dog. Everyone knows that.
Riley Leonard can play. But I agree with what Mitch said at the very end. He said that win over Clemson was weird, and there could be value in fading Duke immediately after. I see that. I just also think there could be some value in fading Northwestern after a weird big win that they had, because I think they're also fraudulent. 51% of our viewers are laying the 17 with Duke, 28% taking the 17.
Not surprised.
Next, yeah, right. I'm curious to see what Mitch is. Actually, I already know he's taking the points with Sparty before we even put it up, because he mentioned that he's not a believer in Michael Penix, and I couldn't believe my ears. So Washington minus 16, Michigan State plus 16. I'll go first because mine's really quick. I like the over. I got it at 55.5, but I think it's at 56, so I'm just going to put it up at 56. Scotty Hazelton, that's the defensive coordinator for Michigan State, his worst nightmare is an elite passing attack. Since he took the job, Michigan State gets lit up through the air week after week. Whenever they play a passing attack, just take the other team, take the over. The reason I'm not laying the points with Washington is because this is crazy. 16.5 points on the road in Michigan State. And I also like what I saw. I don't know if you guys watched the Michigan State. We did a show because me and Mitch both had Michigan State, I think. But Noah Kim looks pretty cool. He's an athlete. He's got an arm on him. So I think Michigan State's going to find a way to get the ball in the end zone a couple times also. So I'll just take the over.
East Lansing's no day at the beach, that's for sure. And I think that they're going to show up for this game. Either that or it's going to be a very, very long season for Sparty. So Michael Penix, he's not like any mystery to the Big Ten. He played at Indiana. So it's like it's not like, they haven't seen him before. And I think, this is one of those things where Washington's moving into the Big Ten. And I think it's up to Michigan State to make a statement here, against them. So I don't know. The thing I love about Washington, and everyone knows I'm from Miami. I'm a Hurricane fan. And the thing is, we had the longest home winning streak in the history of home winning streaks. And it was Washington that beat us. And one thing I have to say is that is a very long road trip. And they had a ton of fans at the game. I mean, a ton.
Really?
So, a ton.
Washington's got a big fan base?
Gigantic.
Really? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Why do you think they want them in the Big Ten? I mean, they're gigantic. Husky Stadium is a brutal place. I've been there, too. We lost there also. It was the home and home. We lost there, too, man. Santana Moss it was before replay. Santana Moss caught it in the corner of the end zone, and they called it no touchdown. So Reggie Wayne got a touchdown on him to make it there. We had a chance at 2, and I think we didn't get it.
So Mitch is taking the 16. What about C Boogie?
I'm going to get called like an idiot. I'm going to be called foolish and lack vision. I'm taking Washington here.
You're laying them.
I'm laying it. Look, I think that Washington win over Boise State, even though it was in Washington, is a lot more impressive when you look at just how Boise State held that UCF offense in check and put up 700 points against Kent State in their opener. But, the thing for me is that Washington, they go to East Lansing, but this is still a Michigan State team. I think is a little bit scatterbrained with all the off-field discipline. Yeah, this is what I deal with on a daily basis.
I was wondering where that came from.
This is what I deal with on a daily basis. They're still a little bit scatterbrained, I think, from that Mel Tucker stuff. And even on the field, they lost 3 of their top 4 tacklers from last year, 2 of the top DBs, and that's not good when you have to try to slow down Michael Penix Jr., Roma Dunze, Jalen McMillan. And the thing for me is that even if Washington is up late, this is a team under Kalen DeBoer. Kalen DeBoer, when he did this at Fresno State, done it here, he doesn't take his foot off the gas. And I think that he's just good. I think this is a statement for Washington that they want to come out and say, hey, it doesn't matter where we play, we're coming out to play. And I think that's what they do here. I think they win this one by 17, 21 points. So I'm going to go with Washington here laying the points.
I mean, you got to think the odds makers have it at that line for a reason. And action's still coming in on Washington, despite having it way up there. Our viewers are also laying the points with Washington. That's crazy. Polls taking a second to come up, but it was about 55% of our viewers laying them and about 30% taking the points with Michigan State. Let's move on to game number 12, Tennessee at Florida. Here's the big one. Tennessee, what's this line at right now? 5.5, right? Let's put it up at 5.5. Mitch called Florida the sucker bet of the week. Those were his words. So let me follow that up by putting Florida plus 5.5 right under my face on the screen. I'm taking the points. I have this one on YouTube, so I'm not going to go through everything I said, but there's 3 main points that I think pertain here. One, I liked what I saw from Graham Mertz in the opener on YouTube at Utah. That was across the country on the road against a defense that's probably going to be a top 25 defense. It almost always is. And he was slinging the ball. Florida beat themselves in that game. Speaking of that game, Florida's defense held Utah on that offensive line. Yes, I know there was a backup quarterback, but he's won tough games before. He went into Pullman and beat Washington State, that kid. So going into Utah and hold the Utah run game and Utah offensive line to 270 total yards, that's impressive. I'm not saying Florida's a bunch of world beaters. I'm just saying I like what I saw from Graham Mertz, and I like what I saw from the defense. I'm assuming that 2 guys wearing the same jersey number aren't going to come on the field during punt team again. I'm hoping that was a one and done. Did you hear the special teams coach? They showed his face on the sideline. He was like, after that play, it was so funny. But yeah, so I liked what I saw from Graham Mertz, like what I saw from Florida defense. And then my third point, and this is what me and C Boogie were talking about right before the show. What the hell has Joe Milton done to get all this hype? What has he done? Mitch, what have you seen him do to make you believe in Joe Milton in the swamp? By the way, fun fact, Mitch was still playing Little League Baseball the last time Tennessee won a game in Gainesville. He was on the 11-year-old All-Star team.
It happens, but the thing is that it really doesn't matter when you have a system like Josh Heupel has. It doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. We could play quarterback, and the system works, and we're all better than Mertz, and anyways, in a straight up any system. Mertz is hideous. He is terrible, and he's really one of the worst quarterbacks in all of Division I, probably the worst quarterback in the SEC altogether. I mean, he's terrible. I mean, did anyone not see, he's coach firing bad at Wisconsin. It wasn't, I never was a Paul Chryst fan, but at the same time, Mertz really helped expedite the process, as they say. I just think that, he's so bad, and I just think Tennessee, it's not going to take all that much. Josh Heupel coached at UCF. That means he's been disrespected by Florida in probably more than one way. I can see him sticking it to him. I am not impressed with Billy Napier at all coaching Florida, and I was not encouraged by the way that defense got the top ripped off him by Utah. I think if you can get the top ripped off you by Utah's backup QB, well, I know Joe Milton's not the greatest thing that's ever happened, but you could probably play backup at Utah.
Yeah, well, he's going into Gainesville, and they're laying 5.5 points at a place they haven't won in 20 years. 20.
Yeah, but it's been a different Gator team, and let's look at the Gators.
It's been 10 different Gator teams. They always win.
Yeah, Urban Meyer coached them over that term, and they had Tim Tebow, and a lot of different teams over that span.
I know C. Boogie's on Florida because he's a man with sense.
At times. And I never thought I'd be on the side of Graham Hershey Squirts Mertz, because whenever I back him, he shits the bed on me. But look, I'm there as well. It's a low of a season when in week 1 you have 2 number 3s on the field at the same time. Sauce, like you said, that was just I laughed audibly when that happened. But I'm not a Joe Milton guy. I don't love. He's got a cannon, but it's not necessarily been effective. And here's the thing: I think that Florida's offensive line is finally healthy. They get their center back, and I think they're going to be able to run the football with Montrell Johnson Jr., Trevor Etienne. This is also we talk about how Florida hasn't won. Tennessee hasn't won in the swamp in 10 tries. But Billy Napier last year, his first year as Florida head coach, 5-0 against the spread as an underdog. 4 of those covers coming against ranked teams. I think Florida could win this game outright. I don't know. I like Florida and the points in this one with a shot on the money line as well.
Our poll slightly leaning Tennessee. 48% laying the points of Tennessee, 41% on Florida. Let's move on to the next one. Syracuse at Purdue. Syracuse minus 2.5. I think Syracuse is insanely undervalued right now. Real quick, let me get it up here. Reasoning, real quick. So Syracuse fell off a cliff last year after starting, 6-0. They lost 5 straight. Those 5 losses at Clemson, then Notre Dame and at Pittsburgh. Those 2 were without their quarterback Schrader. He didn't play. Florida State and at Wake with Sam Hartman. I mean, can we at least cut them a little bit of slack? This year's Syracuse team is even better than last year's. They bring back a ton of production, a lot more production than Purdue does. They look excellent. I think they're outscoring opponents like 113-7 or something this year so far. Yes, they've played nobody. I just don't think there's any reason to doubt Syracuse right now. That 5-game losing streak last year is just clouding everyone's vision of this team. Ryan Walters and this Purdue team still a year or 2 away. I'm sure the defense will come around like it did in Illinois in the second or third year there. So Syracuse minus 2.5. I think this is a layup. Mitch?
I'm with you. I think Dino Babers, it took him a little while to get things going, but I think once he gets it going, he gets it going. I think, Syracuse certainly has shown that, his system works. I think at Purdue, I didn't see anything that worked against Fresno. It looked absolutely terrible in that game. And I think they're up against a more physical, more gifted team here at Syracuse. And I think, Gadsden and the guys, I think they get him.
Chris?
Yep, sweep it. I'm going to take Syracuse as well. I'm a little bit upset that I didn't have a bigger wager on this. I think the number just, freaked me out a little bit that it's only 2.5. I think Syracuse is just a far better team. I think Purdue's got some serious issues. I like Garrett Schrader in this offense, and I think Syracuse runs all over Purdue here, wins this one by at least a touchdown. So give me Syracuse in this one.
Love it. All on the same page. Couldn't agree more with both of you. Next game is Pitt at West Virginia. I'll put my pick up, but I think Mitch probably feels more strongly about this game than I do because he was just talking about this rivalry before we went live. So I took I like West Virginia to win, but I also like Pittsburgh team total under 22.5. Last 3 games in Morgantown between these two, they were like 19-17, 20-16, 15-12, like all low-scoring games. So Pittsburgh offense looks like shit to start the season. So I just don't think they scored this many points. Simple as that.
Do you think Pitt's offense is that bad, or do you think Cincinnati's defense was that good? I think it was a little bit.
They also
Luke Fickell didn't leave the cupboard bare at Cincinnati, that's for sure.
Okay,
he's a defensive guy.
I'll give you the pass for the Cincinnati game. What about the 274 total yards they had against Wofford, Mitch?
Well, Wofford's.
Oh, come on. No. Wofford's tough. Get the fuck out of here.
Tough. I think Wofford beat Clemson one time. They can be pretty tough, the Wofford. The Terriers, man, they're tough. Didn't you see when weren't they only getting 3 from Kentucky and when they played them in the Elite Eight a couple of years ago?
I think
they can shoot those threes like no one's business.
I think that was on the hardwood.
They're shooting threes like no one's business.
I think you had Fletcher McGee shooting from half court.
Mitch, you got a bet on this one?
I'm going to bet on this. I'm going to take West Virginia, but I'm just going to take them on the money line. I have to bet the game because it's the backyard brawl, so it's one of my games, and everyone knows I love college football and I love the rivalry games, and this is one of them, where it's like I have to, a little quick story. Worst place I've ever seen a game. I love you guys, but Morgantown, West Virginia, it is a super tough building. I don't know if they still have this rule, but you used to be able to leave the stadium at halftime and then come back in. So it was a very tough crowd in the second half. The opposing players, you'll see them wearing helmets because the batteries being thrown at them throughout the entire game. At this game, a garbage can was thrown off the upper deck, the one that I was at. So it was a rough crowd for a Miami, West Virginia game. And someone told me when Tremaine Mack blocked the punt and ran it for a touchdown, you're going to die.
Jesus. What about C Boogie?
I'll lean towards West Virginia.
I'll put WV or pass.
Yeah, there you go.
Couch burning.
Yeah. Mainly because the fact that I'm pissed off that you have to drive 35 basically through the whole state, but that's another story for another day. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying to the comments, a bunch of people asked for Colorado. Colorado starts at 10. It's last. We have 2 more games. We're almost there. We actually timed it out perfectly. We're going to finish right about when the games start. So we'll get there. All right, let's move on to BYU at – oh, by the way, our poll heavy on West Virginia there. BYU at Arkansas. This is a straight pass for me. So my friend listens to a lot of gambling podcasts and stuff, and he called me to tell me that there's some pros out there that are blindly betting unders for both BYU and Arkansas this whole season. So this is the ultimate under game. Problem is, it opened at 58. It's already down to 47.5. It moved 10.5 points. So if there was value on that, I'm assuming it's gone. So this is a pass for me.
I'm on BYU plus the points in this one. Just seems to be a little bit too much. Kind of like what you were saying. These unders for both these teams are big this season, so getting more than a touchdown just seems a really good place to be. You have to worry, though. BYU always penalized a ton. Normally, their average age is like 27 years old or something. They always got 29-year-old quarterback and stuff, but generally penalized just a bunch. Of course, Jefferson for the Hogs, supposedly, the best quarterback in the SEC. I just haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure he is. Because those Arkansas fans, I don't even want to go there with them. See, Boogie?
Yeah, I'm passing on this one as well. Like you said, Sauce, all the value got sucked out of this total when it was at 58. Great,
10.5 points.
Yeah, I didn't even. But the thing, I didn't think Rocket Sanders being out was going to move the line this much. I mean, I know it's probably not the only thing contributing to it, but yeah. This is. Yeah, no way. I can't move with that much of a line move. Not for me. Sorry.
Our poll is pretty much split even, slightly leaning Arkansas. Next game. Oh, that game got skipped. TCU at Houston, second to last game. Then the Colorado comes. So all you Dion freaks, just give me a second. Man, this team is crazy. So this one's at 7.5 on most books. I'm actually curious to see if Mitch is going to fade Colorado again with everyone betting them.
Damn.
All right, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So this one, I'm all over TCU here. I got it at 7, but I don't care. I'll take it at 7.5. All of a sudden, TCU minus 7.5. All of a sudden, where'd my notes go for this one? I typed it somewhere. Whatever. I'll freestyle it. All of a sudden, that 45-42 loss to Colorado doesn't look so bad, does it? Colorado looks pretty legit. I mean, Nebraska, we know, has a good defense. They lit them up. It took them a couple quarters to get going, but they lit them up. TCU, what if you asked me, Kyle, what do you think the identity of this Houston Cougars team was last year? I'd be like,
Kyle, what do you think the identity of this Houston Cougars team was last year?
I would say 3 things. 1, they have an explosive offense with a good quarterback in Clayton 2. That's 1 and 2. Number 3, they have a pass rush. It's all gone. It's all gone. The OC's gone. Clayton Tune is in the NFL. Of their 5 leaders in sacks, 4 of them are gone. That pass rush is gone. I think this Houston team's going to suck this year. I think what they were last year is gone, and I think TCU is undervalued. I think they should be laying 14 here. I like TCU in a blowout.
Houston has a lot of money, and they're excited to be in the Big 12, and I expect them to be out buying players like no one's business. Fertitta's I think he's one of the richest men in the world at this point. I mean, he is he's going to unload the wallet trying to get players in at Houston because that's the world we live in. It's basically the NFL without a salary cap, and we don't get to see exactly what these guys are making. So it's really dirty. I mean, it's as dirty as it will ever be. And I think, I think Houston probably shows up in this game. I was really not impressed with the Frogs against Colorado, giving up a ton of points. They scored a ton of points.
They rushed for 260 yards on 7 yards a carry, Mitch.
Well, look who they played. And I think, that's part of the equation there as well.
They played a top 25 team.
I think when you look at Houston, this is a good program. Holgerson, a good coach. He'll figure out a way because TCU just looks like slop. I mean, they look like slop this year.
Mitch is wrong on this one. TCU.
There's a reason your starting quarterback gets benched, and we saw that last year for TCU. And I'll tell you what, putting him in this year, he don't look any better.
Yeah, the quarterback hasn't looked great, Chandler. But
Houston is a big money program. They always have been.
Yeah, I could tell by that 14-point outing they just put up against UTSA. That was explosive.
Hey, UTSA is a tough bastard.
Didn't they just – yo. Chris, can you please jump in on TCU for me?
I want to do the whole Chan Ho Park explosive diarrhea. I'm gonna be unfortunately I'm gonna be Switzerland here. I'm gonna be neutral. I'm gonna take the over in this one. To me, this game just seems offense. We're seeing Kendall Briles sort of really put his fingerprints on this TCU program. They were a high-scoring program last year, but they're fast-paced this year. They're average 41.5 points per game. Like you said, we haven't necessarily played the toughest of defenses in Colorado and Nicholls State. And South, like you said, this is a Houston defense that's definitely going through some transition. But I do like Donovan Smith, and I think that he can at least do enough to keep Houston putting some points on the board here. That TCU defense, I think, is going to have some trouble early on. To me, this just seems like one of those games where both teams get well into the 30s, like maybe a 48-38 kind of game or something, or 45.
As long as TCU wins, I'm cool with it. 48-38, it's cool with me.
There you go.
I don't think Houston's offense can't count to 38 right now, though.
You never know.
They can't if they use their hands and toes twice.
You never know.
All right, our poll heavy on TCU. And now, let's get to it. Colorado, let's run a poll. This is going to be the first ever 100% poll. Colorado State plus 23.
I appreciate everybody's comments last week, but you guys were way off base on some of them, I got to say. I go for where the value is, and I understand that, there's no value in losing, and I know that too. But it's like when you see a team that's so hyped up and really hasn't accomplished anything, and don't say beating Nebraska and TCU team that gave up 50 points and scored 50 on you is accomplishing anything. I'm talking about beating a ranked team and really getting things done. So there's always going to be value betting against those teams and betting against the super public teams. It's just the way the betting is, and it's like a team like Colorado is so vulnerable to an upset loss that you guys don't even see it coming, blindside in the Rocky Mountain shootout. I mean, 99% of the people that are out there supporting Colorado don't even understand how big of a rivalry this game is. And I know Colorado's dominated the rivalry all the way. I know that. But the thing is, it is a rivalry game. It is the Rocky Mountain shootout. And the thing is that when you have a team that's lost focus of the game, like Colorado has, in a look-ahead spot, this is a nasty sandwich game. I'm taking Colorado State here. Better coach, and you guys can say, oh, Deion's a better coach. No, this guy at Colorado State, he was at Nevada. He left for Colorado State. Everybody wanted to go with him. This was the guy. This is the guy. This is the next Nick Saban, right? This is the guy, not some guy who needs to like hype up. Oh, if you need some coach to call you out because you wear sunglasses and a hat, and that's what you need to motivate your team in a rivalry game against a 3-win team from last year.
I agree with that.
And you think, oh, now we're going to lay it on him. It's like, I wonder how much they paid this guy to actually do that.
Yeah, because, it's stupid.
I mean, the whole story is stupid, but it's like, you see Colorado players like doing full-length interviews out on like talk shows and stuff. It's like, you don't ever see this stuff before. And I got to tell you, this always bites you in the ass. Always. I'm taking Colorado State. I'm taking the points. I already have a money line bet as well, plus 11 each.
I will say everyone's betting Colorado and this line isn't moving. So odds makers, books are comfortable playing against all this action. I'm not going to do it. I'll lay it with Colorado. But just because from what I've seen, it seems like they should win by 40. But a lot of what Mitch's saying is true. Chris, what are you doing?
Well, let's just say I got a lot of ass, so if it bites me, well, so be it. But I'm sticking with the over here rather than messing with the side. I didn't want to let that line pass me by. Look, I think whichever way this game plays out, whether it's Colorado State keeping it close or a Colorado blowout, I think you're going to see points here. I think this whole
you don't think that this is a look ahead spot for Colorado with Oregon next week?
Not since
they're totally looking past this team.
Since Deion said
look at the comments.
Mitch, they could be playing. They could be playing Oregon tomorrow and beat Colorado State.
These guys, Colorado State's had a week off to prepare for this. They played Washington State, which in hindsight, who put 51 on them? In hindsight, Washington State, I took them last week here on the money line. You guys were all on the other side. I took the money line, and you guys, I got ripped, right? But I was in Vegas. I cashed gigantic on that game. And I'm telling you, this coach at Colorado State is a good coach. He might not have the horses to run with these guys. I get it. But I'll tell you what, he's going to show up.
I'm excited to watch it now.
This is what I'll say about it quickly. Is
this Mitch guy sucks. I love all the comments because I love the way that people like take it all personally. Like last week, they acted like I only picked the teams that have all white guys or something. I'm from Miami. Yeah, it's like I'm a Miami fan. It's like they used to say everyone hated us because we didn't have enough white guys, right? It's like I'm the diehard, right? I have 2 of these. I have 2 of these. I've shown them on my show.
He's got one in glossy, one in
glossy
matte.
Version.
He's got one glossy, one matte
version. Right? I've got both. I've got the glossy and the flat. These are my Moses tablets.
All right. Well,
right?
So
all right.
All I'm saying is, whichever way this game goes, I think there's going to be points. Colorado said, "Oh, it's personal now. If they want to go up late, I don't think they're going to take their foot off the gas for 60 minutes. If Colorado State wants to hang in this game, I think they can. We saw Colorado's defense have moments where they weren't all that strong. So I think whatever way you look at it, there's going to be points here. Even Colorado State, even when Washington State took their foot off the gas, they scored 21 points in the fourth quarter in that game. So I think 63.5. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game here, whichever way it goes.
Go Rams.
I just put the poll running for the first leg of the community parlay.
I think it came out Mitch sucks.
Yeah. I already knew if you were fading Colorado, which I suspected you were, that the comments are going to be nuts. Yeah, people ignore the Washington State one. I have a bet
with Jay Briggs that if Colorado beats Oregon outright, I have to wear a Colorado hat all the way through to January 1st.
I thought you were going to say for the week.
For my videos, on my shows, on everything.
Yeah, trust me, he's yeah, it's happening.
And the first leg of the community parlay is Penn State money line. It's going to be a real heavy payout here. All right. Second,
1186 is where I got it.
Jesus.
I got it plus 1186. I've hit bigger bets than that, much bigger. So,
yeah, I mean, of everything you're saying, I get, and like I agree. And there's no way that the sportsbooks are trying to lose money. They must like their angle on 23 and a half.
I've shown the tickets on my show of some of the giant money lines I've hit. I took Iowa State. I took Iowa over Ohio State plus 22 and a half. I took them on the money line. I won $37,000. I showed everybody the ticket on my show. That was a while ago. Now I couldn't get that bet in.
So how much? You're at plus 1186 Colorado State money line, dude. If that happens, that would be crazy.
Just $200. Only $200.
Yeah, I mean that still is going to pay a lot.
Only
$200 on Colorado State money line.
Well, everyone knows I get carried away, so I mean that's a small bet for me on a Saturday. I only get X amount of weeks to bet college football.
Right.
Yeah.
Second,
Mitch and I were in Vegas, and I will always remember it was during COVID, so we had to go get masks. He had to run back inside, and our Uber was coming, and he's running upstairs, and his shorts are falling down. Like, what's going on? He's like, it's all the money in my pockets.
Yeah, I need to get back out.
That was another money line that I hit. It was Miami money line against Auburn in the NCAA tournament.
Was that the Elite Eight or the Sweet 16?
I think it was the Elite Eight. No, Sweet 16. Sweet 16. They lost the next game to Kansas.
Oklahoma State.
No, it was the second round. It was the second round.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, they lost in the Elite Eight that year to Kansas.
Right, okay.
They beat Iowa State the next game and then lost to Kansas.
Yeah.
All right, here's the next one for the third leg of the community parlay. 2 more and we're done.
Colorado State.
Yeah, that's not going to make it.
Damn. What if it hits?
Yeah, dude, you took a lot of hate in the comments for that one. That's hilarious.
Oh, tons of hate because it's like they think that like betting is personal, you know? It's like, believe me, I'm all about the value, and I see Shedeur Sanders doing hour-long interviews and Hunter outside on a day when normal kids would be practicing. I'll take the other team.
I mean, it is crazy that I agree with what you said. I was like, oh, it's personal now. Like what he said, take off your hat and glasses. Is that really that insulting? Who cares? It's a weird thing to say, but who cares? Like, I don't understand. I didn't think it was that serious.
My bad. Pickdawgz gets 500 views. I think we have 91 million.
591 million.
Close.
Same thing.
Close.
Yeah, potato.
So we have, let's see, the second places are Washington.
91 million. You got me. You guys just roasted me.
LSU, Washington money line, LSU money line.
Yes. We'll have Briggs here next week for the Oregon game. It's gonna be.
Yeah, why didn't Jay come on?
I think he had a rough morning.
Oh, like hungover?
I don't know.
All right, final leg of the parlay. This is not going to be a heavy payout one because it's a lot of favorites as expected. All right, so we got so far.
When Colorado beats somebody, I'll give credit where credit is due, but that hasn't happened yet, right? You beat a Nebraska team that hasn't had a winning record in about 100 years and then gave up 50 against a backup quarterback. It's like, I haven't seen it, man. You beat Oregon and USC back-to-back, man, I'm in.
I wish Mitch was more active on Twitter because the Twitter of Colorado State, it'll be dead silent if Colorado State wins. No one will.
Colorado plays 5 ranked teams coming up. 5 ranked teams. Oregon State they play USC. They play Oregon and USC back-to-back. Okay, or at Outson next week. Then USC at home. The lines are already out for those games. You could be mad at the odds makers. Oregon's 14.5 over Colorado. The line's already out for that game, right? So you have those two. You have Oregon State. You have Washington State in the second to last game of the season, and UCLA at the Rose Bowl. So it's like, believe me, this is gonna be I said 6 wins max for Colorado. I think I'm right in the wheelhouse because they're going to lose all 5 of them.
They do have some tough games coming up. Oregon, USC for sure. Community parlay, I will do
Washington
different.
State, Oregon State, and UCLA. Man.
Yeah, I
Those
can
are
see them
nasty,
beating
too.
Washington State, but the community parlay, I'm going to do it differently because with the money lines, it came out to minus 124. So we'll do it differently next week, but that's what it was. Let's go watch some football. Let's win some money. Thank you, Mitch and C Boogie, for joining. We'll be back next week.
Thanks to all of you guys. Don't take it personally. It's just college football, man. And believe me, we could all sit here and just take all favorites and have no opinion whatsoever. That's not why we're here.
Yeah, it's not fun.
We're here to have an opinion, have fun, and enjoy college football together. And we're all just one big happy family. That's why we're doing the shows with the Sauce Network this year with Kyle. And thanks for having us, Kyle, once again. And Chris, as always, it's all in good fun.
For sure. Yeah, we'll be back next week, and we'll talk to you. I'll be in the Discord and Twitter and stuff. Everyone have a good one.
Dude is a Dion hater because I'm a Kane and he's a Knoll. Okay, that's why I'm a Dion.
Yeah, that's why.
That's of course.
No, it is.